Hi, I'm David Preston, and today on Cook Like a Bastard, we're going to be using some of these guys, and a lot of other these guys when we make some chili like a bastard.
Bastard! Bastard! He cooks like a bastard, so can you! Bastard! Bastard! He's not a bastard, but cooks like one too! Bastard! Bastard! Don't miss that little something and cook like a bastard today!
Boy, you step outside and you can just taste winter. And one thing I like to taste as winter comes on is really good chili. Today we're going to make Dave's Crazy Chili. We call it crazy because, well, we use a lot of different chilies in it. I have some Cuban chilies, Hungarian chilies, Anaheim chilies, Fresno chilies, Serrano chilies, a couple of Tomatillos, and this is going to make some great chili. I even have some meat I'm going to throw in here. So let's get started right away by chopping up the chilies because we're going to put these in the food processor and then just cook them down just a little bit. Pretty simple. We take a couple of these Cubans here, cut off the ends, cut them in half in here. Now you're kind of controlling your heat here, knowing what your peppers are, your hottest peppers and the ones that aren't quite as hot. I know my Serranos are my hottest. These Fresnos are pretty hot too, so I'm going to put a couple of those in. And again, you want to just put them down a little bit so they chop up. The Poblano here, chop this up again. It's a little bit, not that hot of a pepper, so we'll mild it up. And these Hungarians, they're not hot at all, so they're kind of nice. They kind of give it a good flavor. And again, just quickly chop these up so they will, when in the food processor, process really quickly. Do a little pulse on these. Whoa, look at that. My early desire for a smell-o-vision on this show is that I can just smell the chilies coming through there. And then I'm going to take four Serranos, cut off the tails. This is really simple. I mean, we put these together, a handful of chilies, and then just, we want to make them really fine in here. And I would use pulse to make it just a great mixture. So that's coming up real well. I'm going to turn on my pan, heat up a little oil in here. Take a look at what those look like. Whoa, and these are really came out nicely. So we are putting this in the oil. The oil hasn't heated up enough, but it's actually okay this time because the oil is going to end up being part of the flavor. Mix that around and put these guys in. You want to cook these guys good. It's really beautiful. You got to add a red pepper in here of any kind of heat just because it makes it look so darn good. Mix these guys around in here. Whew. That smells really good. I'm really excited about where we're getting here right now. And you know, when you're making chili, you got to think that you probably want to be using a chili or two to make it happen. I'm going to grab an onion. I might as well chop that up right now that I have a little time. I'm going to take, I think, one onion, unless it doesn't look like enough. We'll end up putting in two. And just chop it up very coarsely. I'm going to heat down just a smidgen on there. And you want it a little coarser than fine. So that works really well. Put these in with the peppers. Again, it's going to be cooking for a while to get all the flavors together and make this thing really a good dish to warm you up on a cold winter's day. I have a couple of cloves of garlic here that I'm going to smash. My little mushroom smasher here. It's kind of exciting to watch. So take a clove of garlic, boom. Another clove of garlic, boom. Another clove of garlic, boom. You get how this goes. Boom. We do this without the noise. Boom. And there you go. You got 5 cloves of garlic that are all ready to go right in this mixture here. And you want to be really cooking right now. You know, cooking the peppers before you add the meat. The onions and the peppers kind of all mingling, making the base of the flavor of what we're cooking today. Because they call it chili, That's why we put some chilies in here. This looks real good. We're gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes, and we'll be back. Those guys are cooking up pretty nice there. When you get a break, don't forget to pour yourself a glass of wine. Makes the evening go that much better. I'm going to stir these peppers up just a little bit, and then we're going to start cutting up our meat. So for the meat today, we're using some pork and some steak. I'm using probably about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of pork. And what you can see, this is what the pork looked like before before I cut it up here. Yeah, I wanted to show you what we did. We took a whole pork roast and I cut off about 1/3 of it. So now I'm going to have a pork roast when I have another meal. So anyhow, so it's about a couple pounds of pork and then almost a pound of sirloin here. And I'm going to chop this up into bite-sized pieces. Again, I always stress, I think I talk about this too much, but you know, when you're cooking something like this, it always beats up the party and doesn't make it a good time when someone ends up having to do a Heimlich maneuver. So make sure you cut up your meat into sizes that you might want to bite, because good chewing is good chewing. Choking, that's bad chewing. It's kind of nice to have the meat a little cold, almost frozen when you're cutting it. It makes it a little bit easier. So chill it up nicely before you cut it into your small cubes. I mean, it reminds me, I was in the store the other day, and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey bastard, what do I do about the fat?" First thing I had to say is, I'm not a bastard. I just cook like a bastard. Cook like a bastard. That's not mean I'm a bastard. It means I just cook like one, and that's a technique I use. But I did answer the question anyhow because I'm a nice guy. I'm not no bastard. You know what I mean? I think you do. Anyhow, so it's good to leave a little bit of fat on the food, but just especially if you're cooking something that's this long, because the fat's going to cook down and actually give a little more flavor. But if you have some very big grizzly pieces, get rid of them. Grizzle, bad. Fat, not so bad. So I'm going to brown my meat in my frying pan. I started up a frying pan here. Put a little bit of oil in it, got it hot. This is a good time to start judging your meat size too. See if your pieces were too big or too small. So I got these guys going here. I'm going to put a little salt, a little pepper on this. Turn on my heat just a little bit. Just cook it up a little bit to give to sear the outside of the meat before you put it into the chili. Yeah, I just feel that this thing is missing a little something. I'm going to, just while I'm cooking here, just grab a little chili powder and help season the meat while it's cooking. I don't know, about that much. So you see these things fried up, just kind of browned up a little bit here. It's almost ready to cook. So I'm going to bring back the chili, which is cooking really good. You want to brown it a little bit in here, and getting it burnt a little bit. That's not bad. That's actually part of the goal here, making sure that it's nice and cooked. So I'm going to put my meat in. Start mixing these guys up. Whoops. Nice thing about spilling is that it reminds you that you cooked. Not sure what that means either, but it's going to happen. And we're all about the relaxing here while we cook. Don't get uptight. I spilled some junk on the stove. You know what? The stove cleans up, and the wine tastes just as good. So mix up your chili and meat combination here. I'll just get these flavors mingle a bit. I'm going to add a little bit of moisture here. I'm going to take some chicken stock. Just a box of chicken stock. I'm going to put about half the box in here. It's good to make the other white meat part of our meal too. So these guys are going to be simmering in here while we start to prepare the other ingredients. And the other ingredients are pretty simple. I'm going to take, I have 3 tomatillos here. I'm going to peel them. And see what happens when I open them up. It looks good. And then we're going to chop them up in the food processor. Not too coarsely. Maybe chop it in half once before I put it in there. Makes that process quicker. Make sure you take the stem off of it, which you do with your hand or your thumb. Let's cut these in half. Again, pulse is probably the right speed for this. I'm going to put all of them in first. So you cover it up so it doesn't fly out this time. And those look very nice. When you add flavor, then we add a little moisture, and then we make it good for you. We'll be right back. All right, so we've let the meat and the peppers mingle for a little bit. We're going to now join with really the main spices of the meal. And we are going to put the tomatillos in. Don't worry, we just didn't quite want to make them in. We wanted to chop them up and then let them sit for a little bit. So I'm going to start with a lot of paprika. This is probably about 4 tablespoons. We got some chili powder. I don't know, a couple tablespoons of that. Some cumin, tablespoon and a half of that. And then a little cayenne, just spice it up a bit, maybe a teaspoon or so. So let's mix these spices in here. Okay, let's add the tomatillos now, which were nicely chopped earlier. Adds a little freshness to it, some good flavor, and color, because presentation! Or I mean, presentation, some of you like to hear. So we're going to let these guys go together in here. I'm going to add some tomatoes. I have just like a can of tomato sauce. Organic. Remember what happened last time when we used it? We forgot how much salt was in it. So taste before you add some salt. And I'm going to grab a few just Rotel diced tomatoes here. They have peppers in. Thought they'd be a nice addition to this because why not put some more chili peppers in this thing? And we do call this stuff chili. So I'm going to sip some more wine. Just kind of mix this up just a little bit and relax. So this is the point where patience comes in. In order to make something good, sometimes you have to cook it. Sometimes you have to take the time for the flavors to come together. It's about bringing these flavors together. It's making art, if it is, taking this ingredient and this bit and this bit. Relax. Sip your wine. Smell the beauty that you're making. We're going to let this cook for just a little bit. And while we're doing that, I'm going to mix up a little cornstarch and chicken stock mixture here, which is going to thicken up the chili just a little bit. So I'm going to pour about a half cup of chicken stock in there and take about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. 2.5 apparently. And whisk this up. That's well mixed. pour this in here. You may have had just a little bit too much chicken stock in there because it should be almost paste-like when you put it in there. Mix that in, and then we're going to let this simmer for another 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, and make sure all the meat is nice and tender and it thickens up a little bit. We'll be back in. So we let the chili cook for another 20 minutes or so, and while we're doing that, I cut up a few condiments. Some cilantro, some cheddar cheese, some onions, and some of the peppers. I also have a little sour cream. So let's take a look. Now, some people may think that this is the best part of the meal, the eating part. I don't know. I kind of think it's kind of the trip we go on, but I think it might be a tie this time. Because when I look at this and I smell this, this is really tasty. So yeah, serve up a bowl full here. And come on over here and put a dollop of sour cream. I love the opportunity to say dollop. There aren't a lot of things you can dollop with. Sour cream is always one. A little bit of the cheddar, some onions, cilantro, a little bit of the peppers. Grab myself a tortilla. Let's see how we did here. Hope we did okay. We did better than okay, didn't we? This is great. Another great meal here on Cook Like a Bastard. Next time, who knows what we're going to make, but I want you to remember one thing. You can cook, and you can just make something kind of ordinary, or you can cook like a bastard. Hope that's the choice you make. Join us next time.
He cooks like a bastard, so can you. He's not a bastard, but cooks like one too. Don't miss that little something and cook like a bastard today. And cook like a bastard today.